So, this is our first week. So our first 2 episodes of TeamGrit podcast. You guys need to understand that this is what it's all about.
Grit. Grit.
This is the man himself, Grit. For those of you that are familiar with us, you've seen him grow up.
Grit. Colin.
Hey, Ben.
But if you're not familiar with us and you've only seen us through the St. Jude commercials, you've seen smaller images of him when he was 3 to 6 months old.
Write your name.
So now
he's 2 now.
He's 2 years old now, and as we start chemotherapy this week, we're beginning year number 3, basically, of treatment, and it's hard to believe. And then Brandon brought his son Benjamin over, and this is Ella. This is my daughter Ella, and this is truly what it's all about. Family, the TeamGrit family. You talk to my football players that have played for me, my students in my classroom. It's all about the family.
Good job, Rick.
And then my lovely wife Laura is in here with us, but she does not want to be on.
She's camera shy.
She's been watching the 2 boys, so when you watch this podcast or listen to it, and you hear the loud thumps and stuff, that's these guys playing around upstairs. So.
Go have fun, Ben. I love you.
All right, bye, buddy.
I'm staying.
Yes, you're staying.
Oh!
Yeah, you're gonna move to this chair right here.
This smells good.
So we have Ella here for this segment, and one of the things that we were hoping to get to do every week is to touch base with the family and friends and things like that. But Ella's a big part of this journey with Grit. And Ella, can you tell us what grade are you in? 5th grade. What's your favorite subject? Reading. What's your favorite book? Because I'm an English teacher, so I know this stuff. This is all I know.
Probably this book called El Defo. I read it when I was younger in 1st grade.
Okay.
And it's about this girl and she went deaf one day and it was it's crazy. Okay, well I'm done talking now.
Oh no!
As we move forward, talk a little louder.
Yeah, these mics are, you gotta talk right into these stinkers here.
What's this for you? We've never actually sat down and talked about this. What has this been like for you the last 2 years? You've never really had an outlet. I know it's been tough. I honestly don't know what goes through your head being a 11-year-old girl that started when you were 8. And
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, it was the worst when they went to Memphis, and I had to be alone. Well, I wasn't fully alone. I was with my grandma and grandpa and my dad, but I had to be there, and then they were in Memphis getting chemo and stuff, and I didn't like that.
For me, Ella, and we've kind of started to talk about this more now that you can have, I can ask her hot questions. What higher order level of thinking? Yeah. Higher order thinking. Teacher term. Sorry, I nerded out there for a second. It's hard, and for me, I have such a good relationship with my players and my students at school. I have a lot of personal guilt that I don't have as good of a relationship with you as I do kids that are completely, that they're not complete strangers, but they're not you. I'm supposed to have a strong relationship with you, and I know you're technically not my flesh and blood, but I've been in your life now much longer than you've been alive, over 7 years now. So what's that been like for you? I mean, when I first came into the picture, what was that like? It had to be weird.
It was really weird. I was like, who is this guy? Because you farted a lot. You still do.
And I will.
You still do. And it was weird.
I will. I might do it right now while we're talking.
I stink the worst.
Mm-hmm. That's called man. If you date a guy someday and his farts don't stink, there's something wrong with him. I know. It's a sad fact of life that boys are dumb and they smell bad.
So do girls.
That's true. Girls definitely fart and their farts smell bad also.
Yeah, that's true.
Girls
That's
who
true.
say that they don't are full of
Full of farts.
Of farts.
We have been talking about bettering ourselves and getting healthy and fundraising for kids with cancer. And now we're talking about smelly farts.
There's nothing wrong with that. This podcast is about everything in life. I mean, farts are part of life. So what are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm. So, are you nervous right now?
No.
Well, you're awfully fidgety. That's why.
Well, I'm drawing. I have a whiteboard and I have a mark. I have a whiteboard and I have a marker.
Oh
I know.
no!
Our studio's collapsing around us. So, Ella, I have a question. So, do you go to St. Jude's sometimes, right, with Grit? What do you do when you're there? How does your day look?
It's embarrassing.
When you get to St. Jude's, what's your day?
It's pretty fun.
Oh yeah, these are great questions.
But
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
there's from where we usually stay, which is Tri Delta. You can walk to like the area where they have like all the stuff in like the cafeteria. So sometimes I take my Starbucks card and my wallet and my phone, and then I walk down to the cafeteria, and there's a Starbucks there. So I like got Starbucks every single day. So I love Starbucks.
Is the food any good there at the?
It's
St.
pretty
Jude's?
good. It's really good.
That's good to know because most of the time, like I think of hospital food is just above prison and school food. So it's good to know that St. Jude's has got a decent menu. What's your drink of choice at Starbucks? What do you like to get
The
there?
pink drink.
The pink
With
drink.
light ice and extra strawberries.
$72,000 and 4 million calories.
That's
But they
sounds healthy.
overload the ice, and it's a ripoff.
What's a ripoff?
The ice. They put like the full cup of ice, and then they put like less than a cup of drink in there.
Starbucks is
What Starbucks would call that is making money.
Yeah.
That's true. Profit margins. So you do that. You get some good food and coffee and things. And what else do they have for you to do there? Because you're there for a few days at a time, right? I mean, so
they have cool stuff like to walk around and look at. And sometimes they have this thing where they have dogs come to like the Chili's area where it's like that.
Chili's is a big corporate sponsor.
okay,
So it's another way to give back. Go eat at Chili's.
done and done.
But they have that, and they also have a bunch of things in the hallway, like pictures and like cool lights and stuff. And there's this big area out by where, like, if you have to stay in the hospital overnight, there's this big area with like a bunch of huge, maybe like that big sequins, and they're like, it's outside.
Oh yeah.
And they're
yeah.
like, it's huge. It's like a round building is around it, and then there's like just like fake grass on the ground and like fake little flowers, but like they're big, and then they got like sequins.
It's like, remember, here, let me describe it. You've seen the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, right? Remember that scene when they first go in and it's like the world and everything's edible and full of candy. It's like a giant thing of that.
The
like
schnozberries taste like
yeah,
schnozberries.
exactly. It's exactly what it is. And everything is set up around kids, even the kids that are there for brothers and sisters and or siblings of patients. And go ahead.
They have these things called legacy beads, where when the kids with when they go to treatment and stuff, you get a bead for like that treatment. They also have sibling legacy beads where the older, younger sibling can get a bead. I don't know what for, but I got
Do you have yours?
Those.
For being there. For being the sister. That's what
really
that's what it's there for.
So You're a big sister. What's your favorite thing to do with Grit when you guys are home? What do you enjoy about being a big sister with him?
He loves coming in my room. He loves it, and probably especially because I don't allow him to go in there. My room is like almost always a mess, so I feel like he's so tiny he might get lost in that mess. But I also have a loft bed, so it's like kind of scary. He might climb up it, but
He's got a loft bed now too. It's just about
Yeah,
half
but
the
it's
size
like-
of yours.
yeah. And he has like a slide on his loft bed. It's so cute.
I wish I could
That's
get on that slide. It looks like a lot
We'll
of fun.
maybe we'll put some pictures of. We'll take an Instagram video of you guys slide. Oh, you can't slide down it. That's way too much.
You should do a boomerang of him like going down and it like,
Can you do that?
yeah.
Because I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, I know what And what was I gonna say? Oh, so Grit, the first night he was gonna sleep in his bed, the first night he got it, I actually slept in it like the first night because he didn't want to, and I said I would sleep in the bed with him if he couldn't go to sleep. So he just went and slept in the other room, and I slept in his room in his bed, and it's a really cool bed.
That is a pretty cool bed.
So I want to go back to, remember when we lived the whole summer at Target House at St. Jude. What were some fond memories you had of that? I can think of a few off the top of my head. That not necessarily because of St. Jude, but just some of the memories that we built as a family. That was pretty cool.
I made a bunch of friends there that were like Patience and Patient's siblings, but most of them were younger than me, but still I made friends. And they had like this playground connecting both of the Target houses. So there's Target House 1 and Target House 2. We were in Target House 2.
Yeah, we were in Target House too.
And was like, there was like this huge playground I'd go out to like every day, and like I'd bring my scooter and scoot like around that place. And then also we like the family, we went out to like restaurants and cool stuff, and I went to Graceland with Mother. It was like Elvis's house. It was awesome. It turns out Elvis actually has the same china set that my grandma does.
Whoa.
That's
It's
awesome.
just crazy.
The things you find out at Graceland.
I stayed home and watched Grit. I gladly. Although now that I try to adjust my running playlist, I throw some Elvis on there from
There you
time to
go.
time.
Viva Las Vegas. It's my theme
It's such a
song.
terrible song.
It's
so bad.
sure thing.
And his movies were awful too.
No, they're not.
We probably shouldn't say stuff like that because people will never listen to us again.
You can edit this out too. Elvis is an
Edit
American
that
hero.
My wife loves him too. I got an Elvis coffee mug in my mug collection at school.
I have an Elvis shirt.
So, what was, if you could give advice to siblings that are dealing with kids with a brother or sister that has cancer, what would you say to them? What kind of advice could you give them as an 11-year-old? Because see, like when I go back to, I feel guilty all the time. It's nothing that you did. It's just how parents think. Like, because we had to put so much time and energy into Grit, which naturally means it gets taken away from you, and you still need it despite. So what would you say to somebody? What kind of advice?
Make sure you like play, like not necessarily play, but like hang out with your sibling. So, and then also just remember that it's not your fault at all that they have to go through this, and just like stay positive for everything.
Which you do, because I remember specifically, in those dark moments, you were just like me. Like, it doesn't matter. We're going to beat this thing. And you've always been that way, which is awesome because it's very difficult for kids to think that way, especially when it doesn't seem like things are going positive. So that's something that you have going for you, and probably don't tell you that enough. Another thing for me to feel terrible about. Yeah, I think that's great. Biggest memory of living at Target House in St. Jude? your biggest memory of our time there together? I have mine. With you.
The playgrounds.
Okay.
With
Okay.
Grit coming out and playing with me and that was my favorite spot because like there was this place where you could go back to like behind the bushes and it was like a walkway. It was cool. I liked it.
You gonna make it?
Yeah. Yeah. She's just a really awesome older sister.
Orange Beach.
Oh yeah.
That's the only vacation we've got to go on the last 2 years. And we didn't realize we had a coupon for a Best Western hotel and we booked it. We literally, Grit's counts were healthy or high enough. And literally on a whim, the night before, we're like, what are we going to do this weekend? Let's do something. We can. I left for Orange Beach at 3:30 in the morning.
Where is that? I don't know where that is.
It's in Alabama.
Alabama, okay. On the Gulf
On the
Coast?
yep,
Gotcha.
yep. So there's Gulf Shores, Alabama,
Mhm.
which is where you get that kind of, and Floribama, which those MTV reality shows of all the crazy Southerners going nuts down there. So Orange Beach is where all the normal people go, and all the partiers are on both sides of that. Go ahead.
So, when we were staying in that hotel, like a couple days after we left, I saw a commercial on TV, and it was literally they were in that hotel.
Oh yeah,
And the
that's
people,
right.
and
That's right.
the family was waving off the balcony that we were on. They were like waving off the balcony that we were on.
That's right. I remember that.
Cool. It was really
I remember that. What do you think is going to happen the next 6 months? Make your prediction or your statement.
I don't know.
What do you want?
You
What do you
know
want
what's
to
coming up, right? You know all the stuff
No.
that's coming. Oh, okay. We have the year scan is next month, towards the end of the month, and that'll be when we can finally take a real deep breath, a breath of fresh air, that it's been out of his system for a year. And then we can start planning an exit strategy, is what the doctors say, which is you didn't ever think you're going to get there. So there's a tunnel, and we're not at the end of it, but we can see the light popping through, and it gets a little bit brighter every day. You going to run the marathon?
Probably not.
5K. Come on, you can do a 5K.
She can join the 1,500-pound club.
Good. You want to do some weightlifting with me? Uncle Brandon, we go hit the gym, hit Genesis.
Just see if we can get her to eat calories until she reaches 1,500.
It takes a lot of effort to get strong. You got to eat a lot of food. Well, hey, Ella, before we let you get back up to being a big sister, do you want to share your social media stuff too so we can get you all the likes and followers?
I don't really have social media except for TikTok.
TikTok.
Which is Ella with 3 underscores and then Rose.
Okay, well, I'm sure Devin can get us a way to link to that schematic somehow, if that's okay.
Ella 3 underscores. So Ella
Underscore,
here, let me write that.
yeah.
Ella Rose.
Yeah.
Boom. Okay, well, that's easily done.
Okay.
Thank you
Any
for being
parting
an awesome
wisdom?
sister.
No, bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Can we join for the last 8 minutes?
Sure. Yeah. The whole part of I don't know. I'm trying not to be egomaniac as we talk about this stuff, but I guess it's part of it. Like, this is supposed to be about grit and what we go through and the family experience. Like, I really do. I've been telling Laura lately, I have an extreme amount of guilt that I don't have a great relationship with her, but it's getting better. I can tell you that's getting light years better. We've talked about going hunting together, and although, there'll probably be people listening to this and be like, what kind of an animal would take his 11-year-old daughter to go kill an animal? But, we eat it. It's tasty. It's better protein than what you could go buy. Your frozen bag of chicken nuggets that you throw in your air fryer, which we do too. I'm not big time. I eat those things. They're delicious. So Well, it's like Devin. I met Devin in the hallway randomly. You know, he asked about Grit, how Grit was doing. And then he took my class this semester and hit it off. Yeah.
It was a great way to start my morning.
0 hour, getting in there and cooking some food and culinary. But then, you know, he started doing this, making highlight videos for the football team. And he did really good work. And we just started BSing about stuff. And I knew he wanted to go to film school. And he talked about film. And a lot of times he's got a little bit more mature taste, given, you know, that Goodfellas is his favorite meeting. Or movie. His favorite movie. But then I told him, you know, I've always wanted to do a podcast and stuff, and it's something you'd be interested in, or doing, producing, because I saw his work with his videos, and he does an awesome job. And then he said, yeah, I kind of wanted to do a podcast sometime, but, and then, you know, a couple weeks went by, and then next thing I know, he comes to school with these 2 pro microphones, and literally that was what pushed me over the edge. It was like, well, I better freaking do it now. So here we are.
And if you look at it from like, I remember looking at the podcast mics because I have a lot of equipment that I stopped using because I was not producing anything crazy anymore. And I was looking at them and I was like, yeah, I'll just give them to him. I don't need them. And then we got together and we talked, and now we're here. We went from the kitchen table now to this, and like it's getting
in one episode.
It's like a Drake song or something.
I mean, every single time we get together, it's gonna be something completely different and better every time. And
so, kind of, I think people would maybe want to know, like, so we'll call you you're the engine,
Producer.
you're the movable parts of this machine. You know, you're the thing that's underneath the hood of the car, and you're what makes it go. So, what kind of things do you do, and how does it work for people? The social media aspect, the uploading to YouTube, the YouTube channel. Subscribe to TeamGrit Podcast.
So we're going to be on all platforms of media pretty much. We have an Instagram that we're starting. Yeah, we're going to eventually be on TikTok, which will be a fun one. We can make some
I'm
pretty
gonna
fun
run
stuff.
that.
Oh, okay.
And a podcast is a really easy thing for us to do and then get really wide coverage, because we are going to be on Apple Music and Spotify after this. And then, I mean, I look at it now, and after listening to all 3 of these people talk, it doesn't. I have a quote by Martin Scorsese in my bathroom because he's my favorite director, and it's simple is hard. Nothing is easy, and you gotta keep trying. And I'm gonna be doing a lot of work for this, and I'm fine with it. That's what I love to do, and I pretty much quit my job at Sonic for this, so it's got to work out, and I'm not really worried about that.
No plan B. Yeah, I love that. You're a 17-year-old. No plan B. Are you 17 or
yeah.
so? Okay.
And I was a manager at Sonic, and I was making great money. So, but I mean, in the long run, I think this will help me with everything that I want to do, and it's something that's extremely fun. Just meeting these people is one of the best things ever. We're gonna meet a lot of people. I will, at least. Like, I already got to meet Steve today, and it was really cool. So
You got to invest in yourself, man. That's
Exactly.
some wisdom in a 17-year-old head right there.
So rare.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare.
I agree.
yeah.
You got to.
You got a 17-year-old at home?
16.
Oh, she's still 16?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, let's keep her at 16 as long as possible.
Right there.
But yeah, it's definitely inspiring to see what you're doing, Evan. You're definitely going to go places, and I'm so excited that you're a part of this with us, because I don't know anything about this. I just know how to talk about what's important to me. So, like, you bringing it all together, I mean, that's why we're going to be successful for sure.
Yes, definitely. We're thankful to have you on board with this. It's a thankless job to be behind the camera and stuff quite a bit, and you're not front and center with all the bright lights in your eyes, but it makes the difference. And then we're grateful to have you. And it's also, you're pretty good behind the mic too, so we can get you out here more and to chit chat and stuff like that. So do you want to share any of your social media platform things? I mean, that's what people do today, right? That's how we interact with each other. So where can we find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram, and then this is pretty much all I do now. So
This is my
I
job.
mean,
That's what we do.
I'll put all my Instagram stuff in the videos, but I mean, in the long run, I'll definitely say in the future of our podcast, we'll be getting. I mean, we already went from kitchen table to a pretty much done studio. I mean, and then I'm gonna have my own mic at some point, and it'll become a very engine-like thing that it will turn it on and it'll go.
Sound
turn it
bites.
off.
Yes.
Like farts.
Theme music.
Fart sound.
Yeah.
No.
We'll have a sound bar, and I'll just play the fart. That'll be our intro. Just the fart.
No, not the intro. Outro. No. Gotta go.
All right.
That
Well,
seems
we're
like
talking
more.
about Star Wars. We're officially
we're
back
really
from
on.
break, but we had a little teenager in all of us here. I've not seen the new Star Wars film, but but Ella has. I think. Have you? She wants to.
Devin
Okay.
highly recommends.
Devin highly recommends it. He rates it as his top 3 all-time best film. So there you go, Martin Scorsese. What do you think about that?
He said that Scorsese film was his favorite.
That's true. That is true. Goodfellas is an excellent flick. Well, anyway, when we last left off here before break, we were talking about fundraising. So that's where we're going to pick up the conversation. Did you want to jump in here too real quick?
So next Sunday, January 13th.
Monday.
January 13th.
Yeah, we're
Monday.
we're gonna
Right.
record the episode on Sunday.
Okay.
Okay.
So then
I'm
on
sorry.
Monday,
I am very sorry.
we will have a fundraising page, TeamGrit the podcast fundraising page
Specifically for the marathon.
for the marathon in December in Memphis. So we will get that up and running. Definitely want you guys to check that out. We're also going to, as I kind of mentioned earlier, we're going to get an app together to where we can all share our journeys, like running, workouts. I absolutely love the idea of encouraging others. I don't need you to be a meathead. I don't need you to run a marathon. I want people to be healthy. I love when people get motivated to get healthy. So if it means, joining us, just for a little bit of motivation, we will keep you accountable. I think that's such a huge thing, is when you have a running partner. We can be your running partner, your workout partner. Go out there, walk that block, walk that mile, go one more mailbox and slap that stop sign, so that we can all get involved in this. So yeah, we're going to start that next week.
Slap that mailbox.
Slap that
mailbox.
Slap whatever you can.
So I do want to add to that. We're going to be talking a lot about running and marathons right now because, Steve's our expert here today talking to us. But I want everybody to know, and I want to be very clear, because Steve actually asked me about that. Sometimes when you say marathon, people get really turned off. And for me, not right now. I get pretty... it gets the juices going, when I say marathon, because I'm like talking about it. It's being recorded. It's being permanently posted on the internet. So now I have to do it no matter what.
That's exactly right.
But if you want to do a 5K or a 10K as part of it, there's all those options, and those will be available on the TeamGrit website on the 13th. Also, there are other things that you can do. You can just come to Memphis and watch. You can volunteer. Since we are a patient family, I got an in. So I can call people make sure. I can call people to make sure you get in.
I would highly suggest too, if you do go there, that you can take a tour of the facility. And I did that before I ran the Memphis Marathon, and that was life-changing, very much so.
Yeah, the fun thing is, Grit obviously knows when he has to go to the doctor, and he didn't at first. He was just under 3 months, and now he's just over 2 years. Now when he gets there, he knows we're going to the hospital, but you pull in, and where we stay at Tri-Delta House, or Tri-Delta Place, that sounds like an Animal House, but Tri-Delta Place. Shout out to Tri-Deltas for all the money you raise for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And the Tri-Deltas we know at K-State and KU and Baker University that have contacted us over the last 2 years. He sees that sign. No, not that sign, the statue, the big giant statue of St. Jude. And now he can kind of, he's facing the other way because legally, we would keep him safe. But once he sees the sign, he's like, St. Jude.
Yeah, right.
It's really cool.
Right.
So,
Well, so then we're back to the St. Jude and also St. Jude's Heroes, which you mentioned earlier. I'm not super familiar with that and all the fundraising that you've done. So would you be able to tell me and the audience a little about the fundraising efforts you've had through St. Jude's and what it means to be a St. Jude's hero?
Sure. Well, I've had 3 separate, I suppose you would call them, campaigns. I set one up before running the race in Memphis in 2016, and you can do it a couple of ways. You can either have it affiliated with a particular race, or you can just do it on your own and just run your own races. And I'm assuming what you're talking about, that you would be setting up next week, people can just be unaffiliated with the actual St. Jude race. Mm-hmm. Right. And
they can join ours. They can do whatever they want.
Right.
But the money will be specifically being raised to St. Jude for the marathon.
Exactly. But a person can run a local 5K and say, I'm a St. Jude hero. Exactly. Yep. So I think that's a misconception people have, is that I've got to go to Memphis and run that actual race, whereas you can just go do your own and bring your own race to it. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So anyway, back to, I was affiliated with the marathon race in my first campaign. And then after that, I just set up my own, and St. Jude will do all this for you. It's very simple. They set up the website for you and everything. You can customize the link to be whatever you want it to be, heroes.stjude.org/TeamGrit or whatever it will be. And very, very simple. You hardly have to do anything to do that. Just put the link out there and put out a good story. And so anyway, there was a period of time where between marathon number 40 in Memphis and number 50 in New York, I was just a generic St. Jude hero and was running all the other races throughout the country. And then we set up its own campaign for New York City here this past year. And so the 3 combined have, and I've been blown away. I set a goal originally of raising $1,000 for every mile of a marathon, which would have been $26,200. And just through generosity of people I've never met, we've surpassed $210,000 from those 3 campaigns. And so I've reset the goal of $10,000 for each mile of a marathon, which would be $262,000. So I know you're dreaming big, and I love that. And I think you'll just be amazed how people will respond. Just this past Giving Tuesday, I had over 400 people I've never met make donations to St. Jude's to the tune of about $13,000. And it's just by putting out a link in a story and people sharing it, and the power of social media.
Giving Tuesday, I had a Giving Tuesday, I wouldn't call it an incident because it ended up being a great thing. I didn't mean to create my little fundraising page on my Facebook page, but I just saw the Grit video, and then it asked me, would you like to set up a fundraiser for Giving Tuesday? And I really wasn't paying attention. I'm sure I was half groggy, sleeping, and I just clicked on St. Jude, as I always click on St. Jude, and it was just the generic $500, and then 12 hours later it was like $1,600.
Right.
So yeah,
and you get a notification, and that particular day, Giving Tuesday, my phone was just buzzing all day as I was teaching, and I'm like, what's going on? Because I had no idea. I didn't even really put it out as a separate Giving Tuesday sort of thing. So it just shows you people sharing it and how it can grow beyond. And I know you've set the goal of $1 million, which I think is terrific. And even though that sounds audacious, I've learned not to underestimate people.
Well, here's for me. You hear Grit screaming in the background.
I think Ben's also
and
choir there.
That's the motivation, and then giving something to my daughter, so she's when she becomes an adult, she understands the importance of giving back to people, especially people that have given to them. But like I think about the $1 million, and yeah, that's a lofty goal, and I hope to not fail. I've failed 100,000 times in my life. I'll be fine. But I think of it like this way. we already got a head start. A lot of people know who TeamGrit is. Grit is a important word in lots of different things, but in life, you know, and the word means so much to me. I've named my freaking kid Grit, despite my wife's wishes at first. And now she's super happy about it. But I think about this. I have met. Now we're fortunate. We're lucky. Grit is living and thriving. But the truth is, I don't know what's going to happen in 4 weeks for our scan. I don't know what's going to happen in 6 months. And that's a tough way to live your life. But I have met kids that have passed. I've met kids one day that have died the next day. And when I think about raising that money and how I motivate myself, and it doesn't seem that hard to me, but I've got great support, and we've got great people listening to us. We're going to continue to add more great people, and we're going to make this thing happen. It's going to happen somehow, some way. Find a way. One more rep.
There's
more
36,000 steps in marathon, is that right? And
That's
each
right.
one matters. So each dollar matters, and money's tight for a lot of people, but $1 here, $1 there. Every one of those steps adds up to a marathon, and that's $1 million. So I think it's possible too. Got to dream big, and yeah.
One of my favorite quotes is by Nelson Mandela, and he says that it always seems impossible until it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you feel it's impossible, but that is a big number.
Yeah.
But and that's how 50 marathons felt too. But if you just take that little step each day, and $5 here, $5 there, it's amazing how quickly it can add up. And I've learned that.
Yeah, I've every time I see something a little bit number, I kind of break it down to the number. So this year, St. Jude had put out a commercial with Grit and I, where I talked about how amazing of a place that St. Jude is. It's one of the most amazing places. That video, in a short amount of time, got 7.5 million views and growing. Now, granted, everybody who watched that video probably already donates to St. Jude. But I'm thinking, worst case scenario, let's just say 1 million of the people that watched that, of the 7.5 million views, donated $1.
Right.
It's $1 million right there.
Right.
You know, and I'm all about slaying the dragon, man. I wake up every day and, virtually I take my hands up, put the gloves on, and I'm ready to go. That's just how I attack life now. I didn't used to, but now I do. I live every day with a purpose, and it's St. Jude, and spreading awareness for people like you, and because there are so many people like us out there, or that want to be like us and raise money, but they just don't necessarily know how to, don't know how to get started, and this is our give back.
I cannot tell you how easy it is either. Before I started, I thought, I'm not the kind of person that will get in somebody's face and ask them for money. You don't have to do that. You do not have to do that. You can just put that story out there from your heart, and if people want to respond, that's great. You don't have to have bake sales. You don't have to do any of that. They do it all for you.
I think for me too, it really restored my faith in humanity a little bit. When I think I was doing the Ride for a Reason, and yeah, some of these amazing people donating $100, $500, $300, just amazing. But I know one of Nolan's students donated $5, and he's a high school kid, probably a part-time job, saving up for a car, saving up for $5 worth of gas is a lot. And then I had a college friend who working 3 jobs, trying to pay for college tuition to make a better life for themselves, and they donated $5. And those donations almost meant more to me, that they probably should have saved that $5, but it meant something to them to hear Grit's story, to help the cause. And it was overwhelming to have those $5 donations. It was amazing.
So as I'm hearing all this, how do people at home right now are listening to this? Where do they go to donate to you, Steve, first? And then, for grit, I think we've covered that. That's coming eventually. But,
Yes.
but it's
Sorry, I wish it was out.
But for Steve, if where can people find you on social media or whatever to donate and to follow your story in your running?
Well, I'm an old person, so Facebook.
Not MySpace.
In fact,
That's good.
I've heard some of you mention some social media platforms I've never heard of. But anyway, Facebook has worked for me. Maybe that's the old people market, the people who have money to donate. I don't know. But I set up a running the number 4 Facebook community, which has a link on there somewhere if you look hard enough. And
We'll post it.
Yeah, we'll
after
link
the
it to
show
our-
too. Yep.
and again, that's great, but I would love, that has obviously gone crazy on me and expanded beyond my own wildest imagination, but I'm ready to go full bore and see if we can help get people into the TeamGrit page. And again, if it's just a link, that's all you have to do. They make it very simple. You can just click that link and $5, that's all it takes. A lot of people do it. A little in abundance is a lot.
And have you seen those little campaigns like St. Jude, or not necessarily St. Jude, but they've done it whenever there's a natural disaster like the wildfires. Verizon will send you a text message. Would you like to donate $5 right now to help out the wildfires? And it's boop.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Simple.
So in today's world, it's easy.
Mhm.
It's very easy.
Tax returns are coming back. Refunds. I forget which the IRS likes to call it. But yeah, $5
They send you
a
a receipt just like that for your, for tax purposes.
They do.
You as the fundraiser don't have to do anything except run and put out the story or lift weights like you like to do. Anything, any activity.
So there is a way to lift weights and participate, because I'm interested in
We
this.
will figure out a way to
you
do
can-
it. Absolutely.
You can start your own if you say, I'm going to raise my, let's just, you were a 1,000 pounder when you were an athlete.
I am right now, actually.
You can do 1,000 pounds
I
now?
get into the 3 power lifts, yes sir.
Okay, sweet. So that's a meathead talk for the 3 major lifts, and if you add up the weights, it's over 1,000 pounds, which is it's hard to do. So let's make it 1,500 pounds. here's a spitball on it.
That's a good idea for December. I could get the 1,500.
Right, and
There you
get
go.
the 1,500, and you set your goal at this, and you post it on social media, and people just click, and
$1 a pound.
$1, and then you get
Done.
and then you
I
get
like it.
people watch you. You post your workouts. Maybe a 30-second video of you doing push-ups or bench press or deadlift. You're talking about squat, bench, deadlift, or squat, bench, power clean.
Deadlift. I'm not an Olympic lifter.
I'm too old now. I did a
Yeah.
power clean the other day with the kids just to show them, listen, I got this.
No,
It's a
thank
poor
Poor
children.
joints just start creaking and crackling. I'm not interested in that. But so you're. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think that people think you have to be a runner. Actually, you can use any platform you have, whatever gift it is. I know people who cook meals for families who are going through cancer, and you probably have lived that, where if somebody just brings you a hot dish some evening unexpectedly, it can save your day. And that doesn't necessarily go with the fundraising aspect of it, but any gift that anybody has, they can use. And that's, I think, the part of it that I like the most. But even to get hooked in as a St. Jude hero, it does not have to necessarily be through a race or running or anything of that nature. You can be just a freelance member.
Yeah, because
and do whatever it is you like to do.
when Ari, it was really cool because my dad's a big cyclist, and Eric's talking about doing the ride, and so we're doing all the cycling friends and stuff, and I don't know who donated and stuff, but and then I found out she was doing it on a stationary bike for 4 hours, and I was like, oh, that sounds so horrible.
No.
But awesome.
Yeah.
That's glad that there's people willing to do it.
Well, that's right.
I couldn't do it. My butt would be so chapped. Couldn't do it.
I needed donations for a donut pillow after that one. I had looked at this and I thought, okay, 4 hours on a stationary bike, you're gonna, I even said, okay, is this like a go at your own pace kind of Oh yeah, you just, however you want to do
Get
it.
on it and go.
No, it was 4 1-hour spin classes with super intense Kansas City instructors that were amazing, but I was not prepared for that one bit. But it was, as soon as I was on that bike for the first time, I mean, I was in it. I wasn't getting off. There was no way that I was going to quit after they said, no, this is actually a 4-hour spin class with weights and up and off the bike and this and that. And I thought, it's not exactly what I was prepared for,
Can't
but
back out
you
now.
can't back out. I am on it and I'm not quitting. So yeah, there's a million different things you can do to fundraise. So.
And we were talking too off the air about some of the apps that you use for your training runs or for your actual races. Would you be able to share with us? That's another small way to donate or to make a few pennies a mile or whatever it might be. Could you talk a little bit about that, Steve?
Absolutely. So there's 2 apps that I use every time I go running that I start and stop whenever I go out. And the first is called Charity Miles. And these are both free apps, by the way. And with Charity Miles, they have a list of charities that you can choose from. And then corporate sponsors will donate to the charity of your choice for each mile that you cover. And it can be biking or running or walking, any movement. I think they have it set up where you can't do it while you're driving.
Smart.
Probably a good idea.
But anyway, and we can set up a team through that, and people could join that team. We've talked about setting up a TeamGrit team on the Charity Miles app. We can put more information about that, I would assume. And then the other one that I use is called Run Keeper, which I like to use because it will show you the actual map on where you ran. I was showing these guys the map of the New York City Marathon earlier.
Yeah, that's super cool.
It will show you each mile split. You can have it talk to you in preset intervals. I have the lady talk to me every half mile and tell me, you've run this far and what your pace is and those kind of things. And it's really fun after the fact to go back and look at all that. They'll keep monthly totals of what you've run. And so I really like those 2 apps in particular, but there's tons of other ones out there as well.
And you were saying that one, the donations come from corporations or companies that have signed up to donate to match miles or whatever. So that one is, if you're listening at home, download that and whatever company is going to be donating.
Start walking.
That's
Start
right.
walking.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It doesn't need to be anything major.
And I'm a believer in seeing those numbers too. If I can pull up and it will tell me this week you've run 36 miles, I really see that.
Absolutely.
And then and then if I want to hit 40, I'll go out and I need to go run another 4 miles today so I can hit that number. I think that's a big motivator for me. Of course.
Yeah, it definitely is for me, especially when I start to feel sorry for myself. I think about that kid and all the other kids, and it just goes away.
That's right.
Yeah. So fundraising efforts right now. What's the next big number you're trying to hit? Big goal. Do you have anything in mind, or a race that you're shooting for with fundraising and any of that?
Well, the natural follow-up to running 50 states would be to go do Washington, D.C. So I've been in contact with St. Jude. They do have an affiliation with the Marine Corps Marathon in Washington, D.C. in October. And so I'll be finding out in April whether I'll be able to do that. And I'm assuming I will. So that's probably my next personal goal.
Jude, when you say find out, you mean you just register to see if you get in, or what do you mean by when you find out?
Well, so the Washington, D.C. Marathon is so popular, as is New York and many of the other larger ones, where they actually have a lottery system in order to get into the race.
Okay.
And but if you don't get in through the lottery, you can get in as a St. Jude hero as well. So just depends. I plan to get in on the lottery for that Marine Corps Marathon, but then I would run as an unaffiliated St. Jude fundraiser. If I don't get in through the lottery, then I'll have St. Jude help me get in.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then
They-
you do
they
have a
got lot of
fundraising,
power.
and then you have a fundraising commitment though,
Right,
if you
right.
do it that way. So just so people know, if you do get into a race as a charity runner, you do have a fundraising commitment you have to meet. But I've always met it, so it's never been a problem.
We'll make sure that you always meet it.
Yes, that's so. let's, as we're winding down here with this segment, let's make sure again we re-mention where people can find you. You said Facebook, right? And what else would you leave the audience with as we conclude here today? Just ways to get involved, things if you're a couch potato, you're trying to get in shape. Parting thoughts maybe that you'd like to leave the audience with.
I would reiterate what I said earlier about being patient with yourself. I've had a lot of people ask me about, I want to get into running, I want to run races, I want to run a marathon. You can't just give yourself a week and say, I'm ready for a marathon.
No, you can't.
It's just a poor choice, right?
It takes a lot of time. And even a 5K, the Couch to 5K program that's very popular.
It's a cool app too.
Yeah.
Is a great app, but it is spread out over a period of time. And I just, I am a big believer that if you try to do too much too soon, you'll either get discouraged or you'll injure yourself. And so to me, take your time, be patient. As we said earlier, one mailbox at a time.
Yeah.
Tap your stop sign.
Pause and tap the stop sign every time you turn the corner and celebrate those milestones. And then obviously the biggest thing is to find the purpose for it. I'm a slow learner. It took me 10 years to figure out the reason. Many of you already have the reason built in. So you've got that motivation. And I know you're going to be unstoppable because of that. And you also know that you have a great team with you. And we're here to help you.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Well, that was our first guest, an awesome guest. Oh man, that's tough. I'm gonna take a break there and go dry the eyes. But that's Steve Sodergren. I can't even talk anymore.
That's all right.
Sodergren, and wow, thank you, Steve, for stopping by.
Find him on
Thank you,
Facebook.
guys.
#running4. #running4.
Yes, follow him and of course check all of our social media things too. We'll make sure we put links up and everything so it's a one-stop shop so we can get you plugged in to Running 4. And that was this week's episode of #TeamGrit podcast.